Okay, guys, welcome back. Special edition Wine in the Bag, a long overdue Wine in the Bag for the one and only Mr. T. Woods.
Mr. Tiger, yep.
We've been waiting to do this one for a while, haven't we?
There's been a crazy amount of anticipation.
Yeah.
I mean,
on our part,
yeah. Well, everyone's part. I think everyone's wanted to see it. Well, we kind of, when he started playing well in the spring, we started talking about like, I wish we could do a one for Tiger. Can't wait till he wins one, and finally did.
I think we first started talking about it at Bay Hill.
Yeah,
well,
that's right.
We thought that at Bay Hill we would have a real chance to do this one, and it took us a little bit longer, but you know, steady progress by Tiger. He got it done last weekend at Eastlake. It was incredible, wasn't it?
It was amazing to watch, especially the Sunday. Obviously, those scenes were ridiculous. I've never seen anything like that.
Maybe other than coming down 18.
Kind of reminded me of like old British Open videos where they would show the crowd kind of following Jack Nicklaus or something. Kind of looked like that.
I'm kind of glad they let it happen, to be honest. Like they could have tried to police that whole situation and kind of not let the people enjoy the moment with Tiger, but I think it was just fitting. That's the way the whole thing came together.
It made the moment, really.
It really
kind
did.
of made the whole thing, didn't it?
I know. No, it was pretty amazing. I just kind of can't believe he's got his game back to this level. I really can't. To put it together with 4 days, the way that he did, it was Tiger of old. It really was.
And ball striking wise, I think it was better than Tiger of old. Like he was.
I think so as well.
I don't remember just kind of watching around where I was less stressed out watching Tiger.
I know.
Like you're stressed out about him making a 10-footer. But he's on the team. He was hitting so many fairways. So very different round of golf for him. But I think in a way, you know, the great irons that he hit close and kind of making those crucial putts is kind of old Tiger. But Tiger hitting whatever he hit, like 75% of his fairways.
It was clutch,
dangerous.
wasn't it?
That's some good stuff.
It was really clutch. And day 1, 2, and 3, he, you know, every single day holing over 100 feet of putts every single day. Took all the pressure obviously off his game. You know, and he was able to capitalise on the great iron play. He's been again, as he's always been throughout his career, he was again been in proximity to the whole number one in the field again. You know, he's just on a different level with those irons. And obviously it comes down to he's holding the putts, but he's getting the ball in the fairway, so he's playing, you know, stress-free golf.
I think that's a lot of what I read was everyone's used to seeing Tiger play well and blah blah blah, but they've never seen Tiger hit a bunch of fairways and then have not easy looks at hitting it close to the pin, but he used to have to hack it out of the rough to hit it to 10 feet or whatever. Like what he did at the PGA, that kind of scrappy round.
That's right, he was just grinding out a score, wasn't he?
To me, that's old Tiger. This is more sort of a new little phase in his career, which is great. It's great to watch. It's really nice to watch.
It really is. You know, from the 65 on the Thursday, 65 on Saturday, you know, he was by far the best player in that field. And that course setup at Eastlake, that was a major championship setup.
I would agree with that, yeah. You saw that mix of 77s down to the 60s, like 66, 67 was like, ooh, amazing round by so-and-so, and they're 4 under par.
That's right.
No one's shooting 8, 9 under par on that golf course.
I mean, he said it himself, he thought if he went out there with his lead, if he went out there and shot par, he thought he would get it done, and he only had a 3-shot lead. So, I mean, that's with the best players in the world right behind you, that, you know, especially McIlroy and Rosie right behind them. I mean, that's saying something about how hard that course was, that he thought he could defend that lead shooting par.
And he's a good judge of that. He generally is a good judge of saying, okay, I need to shoot 5 under, or you know what, I barely have a chance today, I need to shoot 10 under.
Definitely.
I was surprised that Rory didn't play well at all. I thought he would at least give him a bit of a run. But you can't detract from the win. He played better than everyone else over 4 days.
He was the best player in the field by far.
And the stats showed it by a long shot.
There was a bit of kind of chat on some of our kind of pages about, you know, how difficult it is playing with Tiger, the penalty of playing with Tiger, and that's definitely true, isn't it?
For sure.
When Tiger holes out or finishes, you know, the hole, the gallery try and get to the next vantage point to see the tee shot or get down the fairway, and it's tough in Rory. But, you know, what I would say to that is it's tough if you're not playing well. Rory clearly, you know, wasn't playing well. From, you know, he striked it off the tee in the first, then hit a really crappy wedge shot into about 30-35 feet when Tiger's just stuffed it in there. You know, that was for me really telling. And then from there, just never really had it.
Never really had it. Made a bunch of bogeys, didn't make birdies, and I think unless you go to an event, which I still is on my bucket list. I want to go to an event where Tiger's in contention to some degree.
Right.
But I think on TV, yes, you see the flow of the crowd. Yes, you get the noise. I think unless you're on the grounds and see the flurry, like what does 2,000 people running to a tee look like and sound like?
That's right.
It must be pretty distracting.
After a few holes, you realise that with the gallery being 7, 8, 9 deep, that you need to try and sort of get further up the fairway in order to get a look at the thing, which constantly means you've got traffic moving
never
around.
stop
so
moving.
it's just different when Tiger's playing well. The whole thing is different, which is great for golf. I can't think of a time, to be honest, when golf has had so much buzz about it.
True. Yeah, because it's now they actually have. Well, there was kind of a lull to me where Tiger wasn't playing well and there wasn't really anyone replacing him. And then the last 3 years, there's tons of great players that are filling in for kind of his all his wins and stuff like that. And now he's back with them at the same time. It's probably the next couple years are probably, I'm hoping, will be about as good to watch as anything.
I think so. I mean, you see guys showing glimpses of, you know, Tiger-like form, but the reality is it's not Tiger-like form. Tiger's difference is the consistency of
sustainability.
Playing a whole season at that level. You know, you can get Koepka, DJ, you know, all these guys will play well in patches and, you know, little, you know, a few tournaments here or there, but Tiger was doing it, you know, for a full season and winning 8, 9 times. That was what was so different about it.
Still hasn't been touched.
Still, and to be honest, like if he continues on this vein, you know, if he has the driver going and the putter going, we know the irons are always there. There's going to be the mid 2000s all over again.
I think we'll see him win when he's not putting that great. Because I think before, if he never really drove it well, let's be honest. And he always made up for it with putting. But if he's going to hit 10, 11 fairways around, he's going to be way closer to the hole. He's not going to have to make that many putts. He might be in contention. You know, when we used to see him, it felt like every week. It felt like every week he would be up there. So it's going to be good.
It was good. So let's dive into the bag. Where do you even start with this? I mean, the becoming a free agent. You know,
big step.
Big step. You know, he said obviously every manufacturer clearly wanted him.
Of course.
He had, you know, rooms full of equipment from different manufacturers. So he said he got a chance to try it all. TaylorMade across the board. He seemed like the most consistent of all the products that he was testing.
Interesting.
So, you know, for him, that was the biggest factor when he was trying equipment. It was just the consistent, you know, driver through to, I guess, you know, irons, wedges. It took him a while to put the wedges in the bag, but he said TaylorMade stuff just felt the most consistent right across the board.
And I feel like that company, in terms of the scale of it and how they manage their business, is probably the only one that's equipped to take on Tiger right now. Like, can any other company really throw the budget and the marketing at it the way that they? It's tough for someone like, let's say, Cobra or someone, smaller companies, less budget. I don't know. To me, Tiger is like Nike spent whatever they spent on Tiger, and I think it would be unlikely. You know, Titleist to me wouldn't have been even. I don't know. I'm sure that they all sent him stuff, but I don't think they were an option. I just don't see him going anywhere but TaylorMade.
No, that's very true. On the business side of things, now, you know, this isn't coming from someone's mouth, but from my understanding, Tiger, when he came back, signed a pay-as-you-play deal with TaylorMade.
Oh, really?
It wasn't the same deal that he signed with Nike, that you get paid this guaranteed sum of money.
That's when he first came back.
When he first came back, you know, if you remember, he was injured, so you know there was never going to be another $200 million deal that over 10 years, you know, because you could sit in the sidelines and just not be a factor. So. You know, I think that's been something that has played into TaylorMade's budget, is that they maybe thought he'd play like a bit part schedule, but he's ended up playing a ton of events. Now there's rumours that they have to make room at that round table of DJ, Rahm, Jason Day, Rory, Tiger. You know, they've got to make rooms. That's because Tiger's playing so many events, they actually have to try and lose one of those round table guys.
Interesting.
So there's rumours that one of them has signed a deal with another company.
Oh, wow.
For next year. So
I wonder who that would be. I feel like it's not Rory, but
it's not Rory. So we'll wait and see how that one pans out. But
it's been a good change overall. The equipment has taken. Not to TaylorMade's fault, but I think it's taken him a bit of time to dial in, especially the driver.
For sure.
And he's clearly found, with adding a bit of loft in the last 2 weeks, is that right? He added a degree of loft to his M3?
Well, he started the year, you know, he always obviously talked about getting the speed back and that sort of thing. So, you know, he's been trying to kind of find different shafts and stuff that was working, because he was out for so long. That there was his old whiteboard shaft, wasn't even kind of really available anymore.
They
I mean,
weren't
you could obviously,
it,
they could probably still had stockpiles somewhere, but the head, he was going from a driver with a full length hosel to something that's interchangeable. Never done that before when he was at Nike.
Yeah.
So everything for Tiger when he came back from the injury was different. He had to adapt. He's used to having input on the product at Nike. He had no input on the product at TaylorMade, so he's kind of inheriting what other people had given as feedback and that sort of thing. And I think he found that tough. So when he went to first, he was testing the 440 M3 this year.
Oh, he was.
He was testing the small head.
Yep.
Then he kind of realised, okay, he wanted the extra MOI. He went to the 460 head.
Does anyone play that 440?
Gary Woodland, I know,
okay.
plays. He loves it.
Yep.
There's a few other guys play it, but the majority of guys are going with a bigger head.
In the full size.
Yeah, going with the extra forgiveness that you get with the bigger head. Makes sense.
Yeah. So a little bit of loft for Tiger, likely just a bit more spin or something that's giving him a straighter ball
There's
flight.
a bit of a story in that, right? So he was playing his 8.5 with a Tennessee Orange, not really driving it great all season. And Tennessee Orange was such a different profile for him. Obviously high balance point, so on and so forth. Obviously from a loading standpoint wouldn't feel the same. And he's so familiar with that whiteboard profile.
Yeah.
So following the PGA Championships, he actually was good friends with all the guys in South Florida. So he spent some time with Brooks Koepka, and he actually hit a bunch of Koepka stuff.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yeah. So Koepka was playing the Mitsubishi, same company obviously as the Tennessee Orange, but he was playing the D Plus Limited shaft, which is kind of the similar profile to his whiteboard.
Just an updated kind of technology.
Exactly. So not a crazy butt stiff shaft.
Looks like this.
Gets very, very stiff in the midsection, and then obviously it's pretty stiff in the tip as well.
Right.
But a very similar balance point to his old whiteboard.
Gotcha.
So he hit Brooks Koepka's with the extra degree of loft, like you mentioned, Matty. Went from 8.5 to 9.5.
Okay.
Because remember, Koepka's one of those guys that's a bit steeper with it.
Yeah.
So he needs a little bit extra loft in order to try and kind of generate the lift on the golf ball. He has enough velocity, but he needs a little more loft because he does lean the shaft an awful lot.
Right.
So Tiger hit that. All of a sudden so what he said was his old feels back. Okay. Could start to feel the club in the right spots and that type of thing. So he all of a sudden got the driver back under control where he could hit that little fade, and obviously that turned into progressively over the FedEx Cup playoffs. He drove it better and better, which culminated obviously in how good he played at Eastlake.
Yep. It's amazing how what would be to most people a small tweak, a little shaft change, little degree of loft. For him, that's massive. That's a lot.
And those are the physical things we changed. The biggest thing I noticed though as well is that when he was on Short Tracer and TrackMan's kind of reporting his numbers, he was not going at the golf ball as hard at Eastlake.
He was 170 ball
speed. He was
speed
like
tops.
170, 172, 175 if he hit one a couple of times down 18. He obviously liked the look of that tee shot, so he would hit one. He might be in mid 170s. He's playing with McIlroy that's in the mid 180s all day with that ball speed.
True.
So he's definitely dialed the driver swing back a little bit.
You could see the rhythm and pace of his swing. It didn't have that kind of jumpy bit at the bottom. In fact, when he did have that look of the rhythm, he would tend to just blast it right.
That's right.
You could tell right away that's not it. Yeah.
LaCava said something really interesting. He said after the PGA Championship, making that driver changing. I don't think obviously Joey's paying too much attention to the shaft specs and stuff like that. But he said after he changed to that driver, he was hitting it 290 in the fairway all the time. Yeah. Rather than 310 in the fairway occasionally. Tiger said himself, he said he just felt like the ball was driving itself. He said it was an autopilot.
And he hits his irons, especially mid to long irons, so accurate and so close to the pin.
Yeah.
I don't think he really needs to hit 330. Like Rory needs to hit 330.
Sure.
Because he doesn't really
doesn't
hit the
have
ball
the other
that close.
aspects of his game.
Not as much so.
Right.
Not as much so.
Yeah. No, with Tiger, put him in the fairway. He'll be dangerous from there. So, Tiger historically has obviously played very short drivers in the past. He always had this kind of X100 that was very, very short, but he's playing this at kind of standard length. And
45?
Yeah, he's playing at 45. He said he felt like he was giving up too much distance when he was going. He tried some short stuff, but he said he felt like he gave up too much firepower.
Interesting.
Didn't want to sort of give that up.
And you've seen in most of your fittings, it's pretty rare that someone actually benefits from taking an inch or two off a driver. Like for the most part, it's not really going to help.
If you really can't find the face, it's good.
So it's mostly a face contact.
Absolutely, it is.
And he must hit the ball like literally in a dime-sized piece on the face half the time.
He hits it obviously very centered, but again, another kind of nugget going back to his kind of younger days. Tiger, like he says, he grew up playing the Balata golf ball, playing small-headed drivers. So he said he was always taught to miss it in the heel.
Oh, because it would just duck hook otherwise.
Because exactly, he would just get that quacker, and he hates that. Said the worst thing can happen when you neck it is that you'll kind of spin it out to the right, but you'll keep the ball in the air and it'll be okay.
Yep.
He's always kind of had that miss.
So he'll sort of favor this part of the driver.
Absolutely. So just from sort of the centre down into the heel. And that was the one thing he was very curious about twist face, was that how the heel strikes would be affected, because he would utilise the heel at times in order to create a shape.
Interesting.
So that was something for him that he was curious about.
Obviously didn't hinder him in doing that, because he wouldn't have.
Yeah. He said he was nervous when he saw that kind of
the demo one.
The demo that used to show the exaggerated kind of recessed toe and heel, but he said once he put it down, you couldn't even see it, which is what we've all said, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So that's the driver for Tiger. 3-wood, M3.
Strong one, 13.
Yeah, uses the tour spoon, the 13 degree. Again, he was playing Tensei in that as well, but has subsequently went to D Plus Limited 80 gram TX.
Just a little more weight, but the same shaft.
Same shaft, very familiar. Yeah, he was always remember in his prime, when he was playing whiteboard in the driver, he was always blue board in the fairways.
Changed the profile.
Yeah, a little bit of a different profile in the blue board, slightly softer tip section, but he played it heavy. He played at 103, 103X.
Crazy heavy.
Pretty heavy.
And a different flight now. I mean, to me, he was only hitting fades. He used to hit a lot of draws, I thought, like low trap draws with the 3-wood. I think he's basically just like a fade guy 90% of the time.
I think you're absolutely right. I think he's found that the modern equipment, he much prefers to hit the fade and kind of flight it that way. I think he feels like he finds the draw hard to time.
Yeah, absolutely. Same one in the 5-wood?
Same shaft in the 5-wood, yep. So he's, this year he's playing M3 in both. It took him a little while to change out that M1. Yeah. He was using the M1 5-wood for a little while. Actually, some online reports still have him using that, but the Darryl survey from last week has him playing the M3.
That was the winning. And based on him using a 5-wood versus the driving iron, it seems to be course conditions, whether he needs the high one or the low one.
Exactly. Yeah. I remember when he first came back at the Hero World Challenge, he was using that long iron, the UDI, and he was just hitting that thing forever. But he has subsequently went with 5-wood, which has historically been his preference, and that comes from really at Nike. Nike never really had a long iron that he really liked.
True enough. Yeah.
So he always preferred the 5-wood when he was at Nike. But obviously he has this kind of 2-iron that he chops and changes with.
It'll be interesting to see what tournaments he actually plays with that 2-iron next year.
Sure.
I mean, he used it at the British Open.
He tried the gapper, didn't he? Tried the gapper low at the British.
I don't think he was swinging. I don't think he was swinging as well. So it probably wasn't the best test anyway. Like he obviously missed some key shot. I think he pretty much lost the tournament with that club, but I don't think it was the club's fault in that case.
No.
Just had the pulls going. So into the irons. This is where it gets a little bit interesting.
Sure. Yeah, it does.
From a branding perspective, especially.
So when he came back, he had the TGR branded irons. Remember when he first came back, those, the prototypes. Then he went into the testing phase. So he's always used Master Craftsman Mike Taylor as his go-to guy when it comes to making his irons and wedges. And he gives Mike a kind of blueprint for what he wants, and basically through that, Mike will make him exactly what he wants.
Right. And so those that don't know, Mike Taylor was on staff at Nike the whole time.
He was the master. He would grind the wedges, the irons. He was the master craftsman who would make the models that the guys would use for Rory, Tiger. Even go back, he done Hogan's stuff.
Really?
Way back in the day. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So he Texas-based guy. Just seen it all, done it all, made clubs for all the top
legendary
guys.
club making guy.
Completely, yeah. So he is Tiger's full trust. If you ever watch an interview of Tiger talking about his equipment, he has Tiger's full trust in terms of bringing exactly what he sort of likes into life. They actually both share a real kind of belief system that when you make an iron or when you make a club, it's not about what it does from the perfect lie in the fairway. It's actually about what it does from the rough, from bad lies. Okay. That's their belief. Because he says, at the top level, anyone can hit the right shots from the fairway.
Right.
How do you get out of the rough? And if you think about it over the years, I mean, has there been a better player at hitting, those shots out the rough over the years than Tiger?
Not even close.
Not even close. So they've really worked on creating a set of clubs that would be, if Tiger did miss a fairway, he would still have control of his golf ball to a degree.
And that's all sole design, toe and heel relief, and all that kind of
subtle
stuff.
I mean, you hear Tiger talk about, the irons and his preferences. Said he always preferred an iron that was a little longer toe to heel.
Okay.
Right, he always liked a slightly thinner top line. Even going back to his days when he would play Mizuno's, when he won when he won the first Masters, he had a combination set of, I want to say like MP24 and MP19 or something like that, the classic Mizuno's. Right. He always liked a slightly different looking iron.
It's interesting. Yeah. Like a little bit more heel to toe length is not common. Most guys would say, oh no, I like the shorter blade.
Yeah, he doesn't like a boxy looking iron at all. So very specific about how he likes it. Head weights have to be heavy. Yep. Got to have a lot of head weight in there as well.
So
that's one of the
a heavy
keys.
Swing weight.
Yep. So that's one of the keys that obviously getting out those difficult lies is having the mass to actually get that club and kind of get the ball out.
Yeah.
So
interesting. I mean, we've read a lot about how he's just 80% feel when it comes to clubs. He likes to assess a club based on how it feels in his hands, how how the contact on miss hits, good hits feels, and that's like most of the show for him.
That's right.
And he tends to kind of throw clubs out that are just that little bit off.
I think he went through a little phase when he came back. The first time he came back, and especially when he started working with Sean Foley and James Lights and those guys, he was actually doing a lot of obviously TrackMan testing, and he was doing a lot of work in the swing with TrackMan at the time. And I think at that point he was maybe doing too much for him.
Agreed,
for somebody who was of an era where feel was a bigger player.
Yeah.
He was doing too much with TrackMan. It took him away from his natural game. If you ever hear Tiger going back to what his dad taught him, and that was always told him your biggest asset is your hands. You've got to trust your feel.
Right.
And actually, it's interesting. Recently, even talking about his swing. He said, in his hands, he has every shot.
Yeah.
He just has to.
He's got to play the shots.
Just got to play the shots.
Yeah.
So that's where for him, if he's comfortable 1 week hitting the fade or the draw, he'll just go with that because he trusts his own feel so much.
His swing looks 1,000 times more natural than it has.
I think it's remarkable how good his swing.
It's way better.
And people in the industry and kind of a few golf channel guys have really been on this kind of on this sort of notion that Chris Como needs more credit.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. Because he was the one that when Tiger first came back and he had obviously his back issues and stuff, and they tried to get back to his original swing under Butch Harmon. What was kind of natural to him, Como was the guy who he relied on for basically the answers to his questions.
Interesting.
So the kind of quest was definitely driven by Tiger. It wasn't like he was taking lessons, but he would have questions and Como would produce the answers. They would obviously come at it from a biomechanically sound standpoint, which is kind of Chris Como's doing his degrees, biomechanics degrees. He may be finished now, but I know he's been doing that while he's been teaching in Texas.
Right.
Does a lot of stuff with Sasho McKenzie and that type of thing. So he was coming at it from a biomechanically sound standpoint. And I think Tiger's pieced together probably, in my opinion, the best swing he's had since he was the original phenom on tour.
Yeah, when he first came out.
Yeah.
I mean, even if whatever your opinion of a golf swing is, how you think someone should swing. Just you can't argue over results. He's clearly driving it better. He's clearly hitting his irons closer. He's clearly playing better on a consistent basis. Sure. So whatever's going on with it has got to be the right direction.
It is absolutely. So so he's got obviously his irons, X100s, and those. The interesting thing about his irons is Tiger uses more loft in his irons than any other player on tour.
Yeah, what's his pitching wedge based off? 48 or something like that?
He has said in various interviews that it's 50. He said it's 50. He says he uses original loft. He says he can't understand these guys who go to like a 44, 45 degree pitching wedge, because you look in his bag. There's no gap wedge there.
Well, if it wasn't 50, say even if it was 48, that's 8 degrees of loft
between his
to
56 and
so
his
I
pitching
mean,
wedge.
I would definitely believe the pitching wedge is 50.
So and that's what he says. He's very comfortable, taking pitching wedge and hitting at 95 yards, taking pitching wedge and hitting at 140. He's got such a great feel that he's comfortable playing all those shots.
It's amazing with the spinny ball that he uses that
Yep.
he can even hit his irons, on the planet in the wind because he's got so much loft, so much speed, and then such a spinny ball.
It's amazing.
He must just, I don't know, he just controls it somehow.
Controls it, yeah. I mean, he's just got such great feel for the dynamic loft and how much loft he has to apply to it.
But he's got the ability to hit the sky high one out of the rough, where everyone else can't really do that.
He spins it more than any other player on tour with
Right.
the irons. There isn't one player on tour that will spin the irons more than he does. So for him, it's built around playing championship golf course as well.
Right.
When you've got to access those small pockets on the green, when you've got to lift it over a shelf, then stop it before the back of the green. That sort of thing, that precision. He can do that because he plays such a high spin ball. Even going back to when he used to play the old Tour Accuracy TW. Remember there was the Tour Accuracy TW, and then there was the DD, the Duval ball.
Yeah.
And Tiger it was a marshmallow, that thing. It spun so much.
He's always done that. And the Nike ball was the platinum super spinny ball.
That's right.
Was.
That's right.
He's always done that.
Yep. So
it's just the way he plays the game.
that's. I mean, he's all about precision. Obviously, he's got enough. He's always had enough club head speed that it was never really about the distance. Although maybe his ego maybe led him towards that a little bit at times.
He's probably accepted more that he's not going to catch up to Rory and
I think he's realised he doesn't need it.
It's not necessary. Well, I mean, if you can beat those guys hitting it 30 yards short, who cares?
Absolutely. And you're right. He was fully 30 behind Rory.
100%.
Pretty much all day.
Yeah.
Then down 18, they both hit one, and he's right there with them.
Yep.
So it's not like he can't.
He's capable.
He just chooses not to, which is the right decision because he
agree.
can't control it when he does that.
Exactly.
Rory McIlroy has a driver built. Has a swing built to hit the driver well.
Yeah, a high draw. He's going to get the most distance possible.
So much width, so much speed, all that sort of stuff. Tiger's game is not built that way.
That's very true.
So that's Tiger's irons.
Into the wedges now.
Into the wedges, and that was the last thing for him to change, wasn't it? He still had his original Nike wedges for the longest time. Took him quite a while to move into the mill grind TaylorMade wedges, but he finally got there this year. And they're basically replicas of his old Nike wedges.
I was going to say, so the Nike wedges would have been made by Mike Taylor for sure.
They absolutely they were. And TaylorMade have been very open. TaylorMade, they're not trying to take the credit for making them a specific design. This was basically a TaylorMade head with Mike Taylor's work on it.
They're easing Tiger kind of into it, I think.
56 with the little trail edge grind. Very important that he talks about the way they grind. We've got a wedge around here somewhere, but the way they talk about sort of the leading edge of the club matty. So on here, Tiger actually has the leading edge kind of raised slightly so that when he kind of leans that shaft forward, and if you watch Tiger's basic pitching, for the first time in his career, he is actually one of, if not the best. I think he actually is number one around the greens and pitching around the greens.
Last couple of weeks,
And he's never been that in his career.
Sure.
He's been a decent pitcher, but he would also always play basic pitches very average. He would struggle a little with those. And this year he's really improved that part of his game.
So the lead edge has been ground down, or it's flatter than normal wedge?
So it's actually raised up a little bit. So
it's higher.
Yeah, so they've actually raised that.
To allow him to lean the shaft forward.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
So, rather than that leading edge kind of digging too much when he plays that shot with the shaft leaning forward, he's actually had that leading edge raised up a little bit.
So it's a way of, if someone's wondering why you would do that, getting too much digging, you're going to hit the chunk shot on a tight lie. I mean, these guys are playing the lies on some of these golf courses. It looks like a green to most people, right?
But we saw Tiger. There was a little period there for a few years where
couldn't chip.
He wasn't chipping it well at all.
Sure.
And that was the thing. He was sticking that leading edge in the ground, and people talked about it having the yips. He said it was more to do with his patterns that he had developed working under Sean Foley with so much forward shaft lean, and that again talks to the way the leading edge was interacting with the turf.
Yeah, true.
He was getting it stuck in the ground, and obviously that's something that they liked, was just to grind that away. And then he started to kind of use the turf. I actually don't think I've ever seen him look so confident with his wedges around the green. I mean, it was a clinic at Eastlake with the short game shots.
He was getting him inside 5 feet, literally every single time.
Actually, in France this week, at various times I've seen him showing Spieth shots, Patrick Reed shots, all of these guys, like showing them how to play little kind of shots that just, fly onto the green, landing or just dying.
No one can hit that soft landing spinning shot anywhere near as good.
That's the key, that little shot. Other players will do it, get the ball screaming on there with tons of spin. Tiger just doesn't, like you say, just kills it, so it hits the green and just dies, and then it just trickles out.
It's a good example of, yes, his technique is clearly improved, his confidence is improved, but that equipment change maybe gave him a little bit more peace of mind, knowing, okay, I'm working on my chipping, this is a little bit of relief, it's not going to dig as much.
Right.
Just gives you some confidence, like another degree of loft in a driver, or whatever else you add to your bag.
It just continues to optimize and that type of thing, and he's finding out equipment that, he really kind of missed an era of certain equipment evolving. He missed that.
He did miss it.
He missed a lot of that time from really when he's been out since 2013, really, and even before that, he wasn't playing a kind of full schedule for several years. So he's figuring all this stuff out.
That is a good point. I mean, it's interesting for someone that has so much else to worry about in their swing and their game and their confidence to actually also take on revamping their whole bag. Going with a new brand, it's going to be interesting to see what they do. Now, I've heard, the only thing I want to mention is TaylorMade trying to develop a little TW line, you think? Do you think there's anything to that rumor that they want a little Tiger branded equipment, or is that all sort of
whatever? I think that's fizzled out. I think they thought, well, there was obviously talk of TaylorMade, Tiger was going to be one of the guys who invested when TaylorMade were up for sale. They thought Tiger might have been behind a group that bought into it, but that wasn't the case. And, I don't know. I wouldn't think so.
It'd be weird, wouldn't it, at this point?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I don't think that would kind of make sense for TaylorMade. They're going to evolve on from M3 and M4. Word is it's M5 and M6, and
that's the early talk.
That's what the chatter is, and he's actually testing it already.
Really?
So he's testing the new driver with a new version of the Blue Force that Justin Thomas uses. So he's the blue one with the silver tip. Yeah. There's a new one called the DF, which is a whiteboard version of that one. So he's testing that one.
Testing the new stuff.
Yep, they're trying to kind of get him into that one. So that might be a change that we see. When the Ryder Cup is done, the season's done for Tiger. I mean, he's
got time. Yeah.
He's going to rest, and he'll play. I don't know where he's going to play, but he's going to play the Hero, obviously his event, and he might not play much else. But we might see him turn up there with some prototype gear or try a couple of new shafts or something.
By his standard, he's turning into like a tinkerer. Like he used to never touch anything, at least not publicly.
Right.
And now he's kind of, I mean, I guess part of being on a brand that's not Nike, where Nike was essentially Tiger's brand at the time.
Yeah, for sure.
There's probably some commitment that he has to at least kind of give this stuff a shot and stay somewhat current. Yeah. I mean, they're not pushing him in the irons, but I would imagine they'll want him to play the woods.
And I think the woods for him was, I remember he called the M2, the 2016 M2, he called that the Holy Grail driver when he first got it. He said it was the best driver he'd ever hit. So he's obviously going from smaller headed drivers with the hosel into a much more forgiving.
That was his
product.
First kind of more forgiving, stable driver, wasn't it?
It was
interesting.
It was.
So nothing interesting in the putter because he's back
to Old Faithful. Yeah.
It's all mental as far as I'm concerned. I don't think the putter is really an issue.
Well, he just, so everyone's been through that with their putting, that the ball, they stop seeing it going in the hole and they need to change it up. And he wanted to try, obviously the Ardmore 3 with the little short neck on it. He then tried the Juno, then he's back to his Old Faithful. He feels like he's got the putter releasing now, and he's holding them for fun again. The crucial ones.
All kinds of putts. I mean, some of the putts, especially the last one of the PGA, I know he didn't win, but like those kind of 20 footers that he never used to make for the last 3-4 years, I think that Tiger's kind of coming back.
Yep.
So it'll be, there's going to be a lot of anxious people to see 2019 season, see where he's going to play. And
two of them standing right here.
Put on a red shirt once a month.
I know,
or so.
Devastated I couldn't get my red shirt for today, but
we'll get him one for next time.
Absolutely. We've got to talk about the golf ball. I mean, that's
you alluded to it a little bit, but
it's a little bit. But Tiger obviously in when he left Nike, it was okay. Is he going to play Pro V1? Is he going to play TP5? And he ended up going with obviously Bridgestone.
Right.
And he just loved the feel of that golf ball. It was spun. It was very soft. He uses his own line.
So it's basically his own golf ball.
It's very, very soft. So it spins a ton more.
So he's playing a ball that spins probably more than anyone else on tour?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we've obviously seen, the ball that we feel is the premium ball that spins the most, the Chrome Soft.
Yeah.
So I would really like us to do actually a little test between that ball and Chrome Soft and see where they lie.
So it's the BXS?
So the Tour B RXS
or whatever it is,
something with
that's
an S. What it is. Yeah.
So that could be the most spinny ball on the market.
Could be. Yeah. I mean, that's, we've not tested one. You and I have. We've not tested one more than
Kirkland.
That spins more than
Kirkland a little bit. I don't think Tiger would play a Kirkland ball.
I wouldn't think so.
Costco's the doors just getting burned down at Costco for Kirkland balls.
Man.
It's obviously we've been talking about it for 45 minutes, so we've been waiting to do this. It's
there's
exciting.
So
We're
much,
glad he's back.
So much to talk about. To be honest, we could probably
just
keep going in terms of archive information in terms of what Tiger's preferences are over the years, the things he's liked and not liked. This could be a significantly longer video than we've got time for today.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you guys enjoy that kind of thing, we'll dig back into the past. If he wins again in the spring, we can do another one. We can maybe go into the old bag a little bit more, provided he doesn't have, M5 through the bag and we have new stuff to talk about.
I know. Well, the irons are going nowhere, that's for sure. I'm sure
they are what they are.
he may upgrade the woods coming into the new season, but I think that irons through to putter for him it's going to be set.
You're going to hit that many greens and hit that close, don't touch them.
I know. So just hope they don't work too well in France this week, for my liking.
Well, it's no spoiler. Obviously, we're just watching it now. They got absolutely stomped in the afternoon.
So it was not devastated.
They could use a little Tiger action tomorrow.
Yep, we'll see. Guys, we've been waiting to do this. I'm sure you guys have been waiting to kind of see it as well. I got a bunch of messages this week, people looking forward to it. As I say, there's a bunch of stuff we would have loved to have kind of kept going and touching on, but we've got to try and keep it somewhat sensible from our time.
It hasn't been somewhat sensible anyway. We tried our best and it didn't work.
I know. So it's very true. So we'll, who knows? We'll dig into the bag. I'm sure again at some point during his next win, and we can maybe go into some of the other stuff.
Absolutely, this was great.
Excellent, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back again throughout this week with a bunch more videos.
Tons of new stuff coming.
We've got Matty's came in with a list for me.
My laptop has got a couple
laundry list,
Apple Notes going, so we got some good stuff.
We've got some new product in to test. Obviously, new Titleist drivers are arrived.
Yep.
We've got a bunch of other shafts we're going to test. So
this is great.
It's going to keep going.
It's going to be great.
Excellent,
Looking forward
guys.
to it.
Yep. We'll see you again soon.